Also, did you feel at any time your age has affected, how you were treated in the business field?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times, depending on the field, of course, but a lot of times you walk in and you're the youngest person in the room, automatically people have a little bit of bias against you, but they don't know maybe you've had a job since you were 14, right? Or maybe you've had been consulting while you were in school and making money, and you have a breadth of experience. It's not that you have to overcompensate for that, but you do, in my experience, you have to step up to that occasion. I've definitely had folks say, "Oh my gosh, you are so young for your role." I've definitely had people comment on my age, and frequently I just try to move past that and really focus on the issue at hand, because the more professional you can be, people really rise to that occasion.
What advice would you give to young girls getting ready to make decisions about college?
So I would say that it's not necessarily, when you are thinking about which college to go to or the decision that you're making, it's not about the brand. It is great to go to the most amazing school in the world, but make sure you're going someplace that fits you, that will help you get to where you want to go after college. So think about what's going to happen in 4 years. You don't have to have the answer, but you know what? If you love being in a city and you want to grow up and work in a city, maybe don't go to the middle of nowhere. But really just do some thinking around what do you want to do in 4 years? Who has the best program? Not necessarily the best name to do that, because a lot of times once you get into a career, people are looking for past the name of the college and into which program you went to.
That's great advice.
Also, so my best friends and I run a website we created called Cord News. What advice would you give to someone like me and my partners who are trying to expand our digital presence?
So first, I love that you guys have your own business.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And second, I would ask, what are your goals? And with that, and moving back from there, what are, of course, resources are always a part of it, but I always start with goals and objectives, and then look at the slate of resources that I have before me and how I'm going to achieve that. So I would say, growing your digital audience, if that really is your goal right now, who is that audience? Identify them, learn more about them, go talk to them, and then build out the content. And on the platforms, you can be everywhere, but sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to be everywhere. So what are the 3 things you really need to focus on that will create the greatest impact for that audience?
So I know being in this field, you've had many feats, and accomplishments. So what's something that you haven't accomplished yet, but you wish to accomplish in the future?
So I think, and I never expected to work with startups and entrepreneurs like the ones that we're sitting around today, but I think the more I spend time with them and realize my own path, I think I'd like to start a business one day.
Wow.
Not quite sure yet what that's going to look like, but I'm really inspired by that.
Also, I noticed you are the director of digital branding and strategy, so I assume working with others is a big part of your daily life. Do you have any tips about how to work well with others?
I think this kind of gets back to your question earlier about going into a room and pitching people. It's really similar when you're working across teams. What is it that everyone's trying to achieve, especially internally? Everyone is on the same team.
Yeah.
You work for the same company. So understanding, what is it that product team needs that marketing can help with, and vice versa, and really finding that common ground in order to advance the ball forward. I think a lot about that holistically when it comes to internal teams, and because 1776 is not it's not a mega corporation yet, we have the flexibility to be able to collaborate so closely. But coming in at it from what is it that I can do to help you, that's always been a successful strategy in my experience. When I'm working with partners externally, it's very similar, but I have to do a lot more research around what is it that your company is trying to accomplish, and where do our brands really marry. So when I think about it through those lenses, it helps me understand people and work with them a lot more closely.
So what were some of the barriers that you had to overcome to get to where you are today, like in your company?
So I think one of the big barriers, and this goes a little bit back to brand names, when I was junior, senior, I really, really wanted to go work at a brand name agency, Ogilvy, Edelman, like the titans of public relations and marketing. And I applied for their internship programs, and I did not get into any of them. I applied for jobs in February, March of my senior year, and did interviews and ultimately didn't get the job. But I ended up in the right spot. At the time, I felt like I had to overcome this giant thing of not getting into or not getting my dream job, and I now am in my dream job. So I think I had to overcome that mental hurdle of I might not have gotten the thing I wanted in that moment, but 2 years down the line, I was exactly where I needed to be.